So we got another Diddy doc from Peacock. And this one is a little bit different than all the other ones you've seen from like TMZ and all of that. And let me tell you, this one is the one you'll want to watch. At least watch this one first, because this one was very well done and they talked to people that refuse to talk to other networks. So let's get into it. Now, something that I didn't know about Diddy's upbringing was that he didn't just live with his mother. He also lived with another woman his mother invited in the home with another little boy. So he actually had like a surrogate brother. And we hear him talk in this documentary, and the surrogate brother, whatever, actually followed in a lot of Diddy's footsteps. And there was a fork in the road later in life that kind of took him on a different path than Diddy. But we do see as a child or even as a young adult, Diddy was very nerdy in my opinion. And he seemed like one of those guys that like clung on to something and just kept bothering until somebody accepted him. And the fact that his career was made on a performance that was done at a local college that ended in a whole crowd trampling and killed 9 people says a lot about where this man's career took place and where it went after it. It's crazy because that one incident that happened is what propelled him into stardom. Now, everybody can sit here and say, oh, it was the way he was raised, because apparently his mother had parties where they would watch people not only drink but do drugs. And apparently it wasn't like a unknown thing that people were hooking up at these parties. And Diddy and his surrogate brother pretty much were all a part of this. So he essentially grew up in a household that liked to party. Now, in my opinion, literally Diddy was a nerdy kid that got infatuated with something, attached to certain people, and just wouldn't leave them alone. And certain people, like Heavy D, then just was like, this person's around, let's get him a job. And the fact that his whole career was made off of this, along with a tragedy, again, says a lot about where this propelled him and where he is now. You also hear from Al B. Sure, who is Kim Porter's son, Quincy, his father. I know a lot of people didn't know that, because Diddy actually, I'll be sure, basically said that he walked into a party they were both in, said Kim was beautiful, even though he had a girlfriend at the time, and basically ended up after that taking Kim from Al B. Sure and also taking their child, because he was also infatuated and said, that's a beautiful little boy you have. I don't know, that whole thing just seems really weird to me. But also, I'll be sure, he hasn't done any other documentaries. And a lot of people have been wanting to hear from him. And we hear from him in this documentary. And he talks about legal proceedings that are taking place on not only Diddy basically almost killing him, but also the death of Kim Porter, because a lot of people really don't believe that she died of pneumonia. And if she did, it was something that he caused. Now, they go on to say that like 2 weeks prior, they had went to like a release of Quincy, their son's movie premiere, the first one he was in, and she was in perfect health. And then 2 weeks later, she was dead. So that's very telling in my opinion. Also, you hear from like a security guard and also another friend from when he was in college, and their stories just don't mesh. Like, you can clearly tell who's telling the truth and who's lying to save face. But they also talk about the Biggie beef, the Tupac Shakur beef. But in all honesty, the fact that his surrogate brother had a fork in the road and decided to go a different direction with his life, and he's living very modestly out in the middle of nowhere, and Diddy is sitting in federal prison, says a lot about the way they grew up. Because if this little boy grew up like this little boy and chose a completely different path in life, that tells you right there this had nothing to do with the way he grew up. He was literally the definition of a pick-me, a definition of somebody that craved power, and the minute he got it, he abused it. You can't tell me any different. But have you guys seen this documentary? And if you haven't, again, I recommend watching this one and then watching the ones over. They're produced by TMZ. You can usually find them. I believe it's on Tubi. Yes, on Tubi. Watch those ones after. There is another one coming out on HBO Max as well. I believe that comes out next month. So, what do you guys think? And what are your opinions on Diddy's childhood if you have seen this? Because that's my biggest thing, is people are sitting out here saying, oh, it's because of the way he grew up. In my opinion, that has nothing to do with it.